A very good afternoon. Thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Plenty of wet weather. The rain, which was focused across parts of northwest England and all of western Scotland, is now starting to shift further north as the area of high pressure over the near continent starts to expand and push this frontal boundary northwards here. So over the next 12 to 24 hours, we're going to see a wee bit less in the way of rainfall across western Scotland, but of course the damage will be done. We are going to see the continuation of flooding across parts of western Scotland in association with that wet weather. But notice here to the east of the West Highlands we've got more shower activity, and indeed we've got plenty of sunshine here to the lee, to the east of the highest ground here. So places such as Aboyne this morning started off at 14 degrees at 5 a.m. and now we're seeing the temperature up as high as 17 at Aboyne and even 19 degrees at Aberdeen Dice Airport. Further south we're seeing a few 19s as well here. Probably going to see the first 21 Celsius of the year, and by the time we get to tomorrow we're going to see even warmer conditions than that, potentially 24 degrees. So you can see here, this is the overall setup. Very large, very strong area of high pressure over Europe. We've got a wavy frontal system here, which has been funneling some pretty heavy rainfall, persistent rainfall at that, over the western flank of Scotland and northwest England. Like I say, over the next 24 hours, we're going to see that frontal boundary lift northwards here with the strengthening of the high over Europe here. So it is going to warm up further over the next 24 hours or so. In the last video I looked a lot about temperature and the flip that's coming between the warm that we're seeing at the moment and the colder conditions that we're going to see, relatively speaking cold, during the course of the second half of this week. But I want to also emphasize the fact that this is a fairly dry weather pattern as well overall, with high pressure in control here. This is looking at the GFS ensemble, and this is the upcoming 7-day period, and of course you can see the rain. That is a lot of that rain is actually going to be in the front couple of days here. But notice the dry conditions across Ireland, the bulk of the British Isles, and of course the bulk of Europe overall. And as we skip through, and this takes us out to the middle, almost the middle portion of April, and you can see here how precipitation is firmly below normal right through till the 11th of April here. So the overall emphasis being on dry conditions. So take away the warm or the cold. The fact is we're going to get through at least the front end of April here on a fairly dry note. Of course, ground is fairly saturated across parts of northwestern Scotland, but I think as we go and progress through April, we should start to see the ground drying out, and of course we are going to see the continuation of drier conditions across England and Wales, and you could start to see things becoming pretty dry actually. I'm not calling for a drought or anything like that, but it's interesting how with these La Nina second year La Nina Aprils, you can quite often have quite a dry spell at this time of the year here. And what's going to be interesting is to see how far this drier conditions can stretch through the month of April and even potentially beyond that. Like I say, we are looking at colder conditions, and as you can see here off the GFS as we skip through the loop, you can see here how the conditions change quite significantly as we push through the day on Wednesday. We're going to have a cold front pushing south, turning our winds rather than from the southwest from a northeasterly direction, and in comes the colder conditions here. But you notice here high pressure always close by from Iceland extending into the British Isles here. We're going to have fairly breezy conditions, I think, across the North Sea coast, particularly of England. We've got a little bit more spread in the ice bars across Scotland, but further south, a little bit more of a squeeze on the eastern flank of that high. Could see some fairly chilly air Persian in the East Anglia, for example, in the southeast. But as we press through in towards the weekend, still chillier, high pressure and control, with light winds and sunshine. Temperatures aren't going to be too bad, really. But as we press through the weekend, and this is by the time we get out to Easter Sunday, of course, cast your eyes to this, and the modelling is becoming a little bit more consistent at this overall idea of a stronger cold front descending south over the British Isles. The low thickness values indicating much colder air with much kind of deeper Arctic origin, Persian south, and with the combination of low pressure over the Norwegian Sea, high pressure to the southwest of Iceland here and to the southeast of Greenland, you've got a squeeze in the isobars that produces a very powerful northerly wind, and factoring in the depth of cold within this air mass, this could be a fairly significant push of cold air here. Still, like I said before, a long way out. We're talking, pretty much a week away now. This, of course, would be a week away of next Monday. But it'll be interesting to see the continuation of this model idea and whether it continues to show this. Now, folks, if this materializes, this really would be the extreme end of the scale, if I'm being honest with you. And it would really take an awful lot for this to actually materialize. But it certainly will be quite interesting to see the chilly theme that we get during the second half of this week. And then, of course, the real deal becomes through the Easter weekend and into the following week. So in the next week, exactly how cold we get, that is going to be the big question here. Looking at the snowfall off the GFS, you can see here as we skip through the model here. So this is looking at Europe overall. And you can see here that we do get a little bit of snow coming into the Northwest Highlands here. This would be of Wednesday, so the just a couple of days from now. In fact, bearing in mind we're 20 degrees almost in Aberdeen this afternoon. So this would be a little bit of a shock to the system, if you will. And the snow does try to get into the Central Highlands as well, which is quite interesting. But it's as we skip through and in through the latter half of the week and into the weekend here, see how the snow disappears as you would expect it at this time of the year. It's not going to hang on. But then as we get towards the period, this would be in fact Easter weekend. And you can see here that we start to see the snow becoming a little bit more extensive according to the model. This would be for Easter Monday here, the 5th of April. And that certainly is a reasonably interesting kind of solution. So the modelling is hinting at things becoming more interesting as we go towards the Easter weekend here. But a lot to play for. A lot of things can change. The intensity of the cold could ease back. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But nonetheless, interesting times to come. Hope you have a great day. But back in the next couple of days with more. Bye for now.